You accepted an offer on your home. Congratulations. But now what? A lot of sellers think once they accept an offer, the hard part is over, and yes, it is a huge milestone, but the sale is not officially done yet. This is where escrow begins, inspections happen, disclosures are reviewed, and the buyer's loan moves forward, and everyone works towards closing. So today, I'm walking you through what happens after you accept an offer on your home. Hi, I'm Katherine with Seven Gables Real Estate, and I help Orange County homeowners thoughtfully position their sale from start to finish. Accepting the offer is exciting, but the goal is not just to open escrow. The goal is to close escrow smoothly, hopefully. So let's walk through what usually happens next. Number one, escrow opens. Once you accept an offer, escrow is opened. Escrow is a neutral third party that helps manage the transaction, collect documents, handle funds, and make sure that the terms of the contract are followed before closing. The buyer will usually send their earnest money deposit to escrow within the time frame written in the contract. This deposit shows that the buyer is serious about moving forward. At this stage, the clock starts ticking on important deadlines, like your inspection, disclosure, appraisal, loan, and contingency removal dates. So once the offer is accepted, everyone needs to stay organized. 2, the buyer begins their inspections. Next, the buyer usually begins their inspections. This can include a general home inspection, termite inspection, roof inspection, sewer inspection, HVAC inspection, pool inspection if applicable, and other specialized inspections depending on the property. The buyer is trying to better understand the condition of the home. This does not mean they are looking for perfection. Every home has something that will come up, even newer or well-maintained properties. The inspection period is really about discovery. As the seller, you should be prepared that the buyer may ask questions, request clarification on items, or possibly ask for repairs or credit after inspections. And this is honestly very, very normal. 3, seller disclosures are completed and reviewed. In California, seller disclosures are a very important part of the transaction. After accepting an offer, sellers typically complete required disclosure forms about the property, including anything and everything they know about the home's conditions, any repairs, past issues that they've had, neighborhood conditions, HOA information if applicable, or other material facts. The key here is honesty. Disclosures are not about making the home sound perfect. They are about giving the buyer information and helping protect everyone in the transaction. A well-disclosed property is often a better protected sale. Buyers will review these disclosures during escrow and they may ask follow-up questions. 4, the buyer's loan and appraisal move forward. If the buyer is getting financing, aka they're not paying cash, their lender continues working on the loan after the offer is accepted. The buyer may need to provide documents, underwriting may need to review the file, and the lender will usually order an appraisal. The appraisal is the lender's way of confirming the value of the property. If the appraisal comes in at or above purchase price, that part usually moves forward pretty smoothly. If the appraisal comes in low, then the buyer and the seller may need to discuss options depending on the contract terms. This is one reason why the strength of the buyer's offer matters. It is not just about price, it is also about financing, appraisal terms, contingencies, and the buyer's ability to close. 5, the buyer may request repairs or credits. As mentioned before, after inspections, the buyer may submit a repair request, a credit, or ask for a price adjustment. This can feel stressful for sellers, but it does not automatically mean the deal is falling apart. It is often just another negotiation point during escrow. Common requests may involve health and safety items, plumbing, electrical, roof, HVAC, termite work, appliances, or other issues that come up during inspections. Now, as a seller, you usually have options. You may agree to repairs, you may offer a credit, you may negotiate, you may decline, depending on the contract, the market, and the situation. The important thing is to respond strategically, not emotionally, which I know is difficult. Number 6, contingencies are removed. Contingencies are conditions in the contract that protect the buyer during certain parts of escrow. Common contingencies include inspection contingency, appraisal contingency, loan contingency, disclosure review contingency, HOA document review contingency. When the buyer removes those contingencies, they're moving forward with less protection under the contract. For sellers, contingency removal is important because usually it means that the transaction is becoming more secure. This is very important and why timelines matter. Your agent should be tracking dates and making sure everyone understands what is due and when it is due. 7, the seller prepares for closing. As escrow moves forward, the seller also needs to prepare for closing. This may include signing documents, coordinating payoff information for any mortgage, making agreed upon repairs, keeping the property in the required condition, and planning the move-out timeline. If the contract includes a rent back or seller possession after closing, those details should be clearly documented. You will also want to avoid making changes to the property or removing anything that was included in the sale unless it was clearly excluded in the contract. Basically, once you are in escrow, the home should stay in the agreed upon condition. Now, number 8, the buyer does a final walkthrough. Before closing, the buyer usually does a final walkthrough with their agent. This is typically a couple of days before close of escrow. Now, this is not a second inspection. It is typically to confirm that the home is in substantially the same condition as when they agreed to buy it, that agreed upon repairs were completed if necessary, and that the property is ready to close based on the contract. This is why sellers should be careful when moving out. Accidental damage, missing fixtures, or items left behind can create last-minute issues. A smooth final walkthrough helps keeping the closing on track. Number 9, signing, funding, and recording, and finally closing. Near the end of escrow, both sides sign their required documents. The buyer's lender will fund the loan, escrow prepares everything for closing, and then the deed is recorded in the county. In California, the sale is not officially closed just because documents are signed. It is officially closed when the transaction records. Once recording happens, ownership transfers over, and the keys can be released based on the terms of the contract. Now that is your finish line. So after you accept an offer, the process usually will look like this. Escrow will open, the buyer will send their deposit, inspections begin, seller disclosures are completed and reviewed, the loan and appraisal move forward, the buyer may request repairs or credits, contingencies are removed, both sides prepare for closing, and the buyer does a final walkthrough, and then the transaction signs, funding, and records, and it closes. After accepting the offer, it is a major step, but closing smoothly takes organization, communication, and strategy. If you're thinking about selling in Orange County and you want help to understand not just how to get an offer, but how to actually get to the closing table, I would be happy to help. I'm Katherine with Seven Gables Real Estate. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.